Hello and welcome back to another episode on Let's Talk Football Careers with myself, Barry, and today's special guest, Kevin Drinkell. Thanks for coming, Kevin.
Not a
Nice to
problem.
meet you, all right. As I usually do, I've got a wee summary of your career, so I've got down for anybody watching or the crowd that's sitting here today. You played for Grimsby, Norwich, Rangers, Coventry. You went on loan to Birmingham. You played with Falkirk and Stirling, and I've got down here you won the third division with Grimsby, the second division with Norwich, the first division with Falkirk, and then the top division with Rangers. So you've done that in a no bad job, done it. You've got to be quite happy with that, eh? And you've got a goal for every 3 games. Your ratio, eh? Aye, for what I was looking at, eh? But could you just tell us maybe for your upbringing, you were brought up round about Grimsby, I believe, eh? Is that
In
right?
Grimsby,
Mhm.
So, although at the moment they're going through a bit of a lean
Yeah.
time, they're down in the fourth league
Aye.
and struggling to stay in that fourth league at times. But during my youth, there was a bunch of young kids that all came together
Yeah.
at the same time. And we had a manager that suddenly decided to give youth a chance.
Right.
Who
was that?
The boy John Newman had come into the club. Grimsby had avoided relegation, ups and downs over a number of years, full of senior players, with a bunch of local players that all came through together. I think we ended up with 7 of the first team within a year were local from around the area. And that was, I was fortunate enough. I probably got the sack if the previous manager, an Irish guy, if he'd have stayed, I'd have probably been released. And within a month, the new manager put me straight into the first team.
Yeah, you made your debut at 16, eh?
Yeah, I was fortunate to do that. As I say, if that manager hadn't come in, I'd have been out the game, and instead I was in the first team.
And you were in amongst all your mates who were making your debut, your family as well. I mean,
that was the biggest thing, when people say, "Oh, who's the best team you played with? What was the atmosphere?" As a 16-year-old laddie to be running out with your hometown team, and you've got your mum and dad and your brothers and that lot in the stand.
And that's the side that a lot of people do see, because the sacrifices that your parents make and your family know that make you
to get you there.
Can you remember your first goal then?
I remember it because I was reminded of it. I was watching the telly the other evening, and Wrexham were playing. Wrexham were playing in the cup, I think, and that was my first goal for Grimsby. It was away at Wrexham at the racecourse ground. We drew 2-2, and I actually got both the goals.
Yeah, and you scored a lot of headers in your career, though. That was something that
I had. Sometimes people put a little compilation together,
your headers,
and it's amazing. Even there's one I think it's called Drinks All Round or something. It was my time at Rangers.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
the 20 goals that I run it, I think 16 of them are headers.
And you done it on the big games as well, the headers. Yeah. I've seen headers against it. I've got them here written back at your time at Grimsby. Sorry, a significant 11th February 1984 winner v Newcastle. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I remember a lot of those goals. I was fortunate. I scored over 100 for Grimsby, and as I say, there were better times then. They were playing in what's the Championship now.
Yeah.
So we were playing against the Newcastle team that was Peter Beardsley, some great teams. Chelsea, Man City, all those teams were playing in the Championship.
And I believe that in that same year, though, I've got here, you scored the winner versus Derby, but you were also transfer listed at the same time as you scored this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or you were talking you moving.
So there was talk from the age of 17 that I would be moving. But in the old days, the football clubs had the whole. They told you when you were going.
You never had agents like that,
well, it wasn't so much that. There was no freedom of movement. So if you came to the end of a contract, you were still tied to that team. And that happened time and time again at Grimsby, where somebody would come in, whether it be Leeds or Middlesbrough, Everton, and they'd offer £200,000, £300,000, and the chairman at Grimsby goes, "No, we want £500,000.
And it gives you a lot of instability not knowing what you're doing as well. And this is where the Bosman rule probably, that would have been something that you would really benefit from, because you need to know your future. But you won Division 3 there, as I mentioned there. I mean, that must have been brilliant winning that with your...
Well, that first year when the manager, John Newman, changed the team and put the kids in, we all got our opportunity. We actually got promotion out of the fourth league. We placed about third in the league, which got us promotion. And then the following year, which would be League One now, was League Three. Then we won it. We won it by about 10 points. I think.
Aye. And then you moved on to Norwich, so I mean, this was in 1985. I've got Ken Brown signed you for
Yeah.
90,000. This is a fee that angered the Grimsby fans, though, I believe. They
Well, it
weren't
was
happy
because
with what they got,
it's like times are changing. They kept turning offers down, even if I wanted to go. And so it come to bite them on the bum in the end, you know.
Aye, because I mean, there was other teams, weren't there?
We went to a tribunal. I said, enough's enough. You've messed me about enough times over the years. I'm not going to re-sign a contract. So that means you've got to go to a tribunal. Downside of that is that tribunal, if they'd have said, "Oh, we think Grimsby should get 300,000," Norwich would have said no.
Aye. So it's not really got any control over it anyway.
Benevolent chairman of that arbitration, and he sort of said, "What do you want to do, Kev?" And I said, "Look, I've given 10 years of my life to Grimsby. That's my hometown team."
Yeah.
But they just stopped me progressing. So he just turned around and said,
And that
it
was
was
really
actually
Norwich.
95 grand, I think it was. And he said that he looked at the Norwich manager and chairman and said, and I think it's only fair that you tell Kevin here and now whether that's acceptable. And they went,
yeah, we'll take it then. I was going about it. But when you joined Norwich, you were Chris Woods was there as well.
Yeah, Chris Woods, Stevie Bruce.
I'm interviewing him next week. Stevie Bruce, next week.
Say hello.
I will do.
And a boy, Dave Watson,
Everton,
who went to Everton and was captain of Everton for 10 years.
And I've got Mickey Phelan as well.
Mickey Phelan was there. Dale Gordon.
Rangers,
We had a good team
as well.
Yeah,
young lad, he came through as well. But you got the golden boot there. You scored. Avro did 22, but is it more than that? Was it 27? I think it was 27. Avro did 22, but you got the golden boot there. You scored the winner against Liverpool.
Yeah, the first time Rush had scored and they didn't go on to win.
That's right. I've got that written down. And Grobler was in goals that day as well. So I mean, you're really starting to progress through your career.
There's a clip on that. It's one I always like to see. That goal, shaping that scrubble out, and in the end, he's not going to move, so I just whacked it, and it went straight over his head.
But yeah, I mean, you're right-footed though. It was predominantly right-footed. I've seen a few goals that he scored. He scored against Aberdeen as well. Similar goal, but the ball was cut across and smashed it past him. I just point on instinct, But I mean, look at Norwich now. I mean, you've moved on to Rangers after Norwich, but they've got Philip Common in charge at the moment.
Yeah,
seem to be doing all right.
He's picked it up. I'm pleased for him because you know he was of the last 4 or 5 Rangers I've had. He was probably the most level-headed.
He was at the right manager at the wrong time for Rangers, and Norwich are reaping the benefits of that. But
Norwich they've had a couple of years where they've not even been challenging.
But I think over the last 6 months, I think he's got the best record in the Championship since he's took over. But that leads on perfectly to Rangers. But I've got in here that Man U were interested. You had Tottenham interested as well. But again, this goes back to the powers of the club. You not having the freedom,
Well, that was, again, once Norwich had taken advantage of that situation about being able to get me on a tribunal.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, it was still the similar circumstances. So Tottenham, Man United had come in, but at that time, Man United were rubbish. Fergie was into his second year, I think.
Just started.
And if he went another week, he would have got the sack. So as we'd gone up with Norwich, we were finishing 4th or 5th in the Premiership. And Man United, with Fergie, was lucky to stay in the league. So it wasn't so much. So when Norwich at that time said it was a year earlier than I eventually left, when Ken Brown said to me that Fergie had been on and wanted me to go over to Man United, but I don't want you to go. You've just signed a new contract with us. I was quite comfortable with that because that guy had looked after me. He was a nice guy, and at that time,
if you wanted as well,
a better team, getting better results,
and Tottenham as well. Did Tottenham make
Tottenham came in, and we went through that merry-go-round where they said Norwich said they wanted 500,000 for me, and Irving Scholar was a chairman down there, with Terry Venables was a manager. So they said, "Okay, we'll give you the 500 grand," and they went, "Oh, that was a bit easy." Actually, we won 600 grand. 2 weeks go by. Venables was ringing me up and said, "We're going to pay it. We'll get you. Don't worry about it." So they went 600 grand, and then the chairman went, "No, we want 700 grand."
You're just like that.
And Irving Scholar just said to Venables,
It's no good. But as soon as I managed to sweep in and get even cheaper, didn't
As soon as went in his bullying way, he just got me on the side.
I think he got you for about half a million there.
I went down for a meeting at Heathrow, and Walter came down with Phil Boersma, as soon as his pal, who was a kitman and everything, physio. And they had a conversation with me, and I said, "Well, I'm up for it, but you have a problem with this chairman. He's turned down 700 grand from Liverpool. So leave that to us." And honestly, it was about, I'd gone from my home in Norwich to have a chat with Rangers at Heathrow Airport.
Yeah.
And so the missus is expecting me back. So we're now about 11:30 at night. So I said, "Well, leave that other stuff to us. We'll sort out Norwich." And with that, I looked, and this guy, Chase, was the chairman of Norwich. It was a bit of a, "Hey, Kevin." I said, "Yeah." I don't know what they said, but they got him in the back, and they came out 20 minutes later and said, "That's it. We've got your room. Stay the night. We'll give you a shout at 6 in the morning. We're on the red eye up to Glasgow." So I did that. And there was no mobile phones or anything.
Yeah.
And it was like 1 in the morning at this stage. So I couldn't ring the missus.
She's missing.
And I was. And I landed, must have been about 7:30 in Glasgow. And I said, "I need to get to the phone." And I got to the phone and I rang the missus up and said, "I've just signed for..."
Where are you? What the fuck you did?
She's been 6 months ago. We'd been looking at houses in Drinkell.
That's mad.
It
just shows how it changes there. And I mean, you made your debut against Hamilton, but you joined, though. Was this start of the Celtic
That was
centenary?
the year. Just before.
Just before you,
So
you
they
came
won
in,
the double.
and then you came in right at the back.
That's the way I play.
That's the best
I
way
just
to
turned it all around.
Well, Ian Ferguson told me that there's 110 players played during the 9 in a row time. Obviously, you're one of them. So 110 played in that combined time. So I thought that was quite a good start. But I mean, you've been noticed. I mean, the level of players that you were playing with here. We mentioned Chris Woods. I've interviewed Terry Butcher as well. Got John Brown, Richard Goff. Another one I've underlined all the ones I spoke to. Nisbet spoke to Scott Nisbet as well. He was asking for you. He's on Lanzarote now. Gary Stevens, Ian Durrant, Mark Walters, Ray Wilkins. I mean, how good was Ray Wilkins? I mean, he must have assisted you so many times at Rangers. Aye, great player. And then McCoist as well, playing alongside McCoist there, young McCoist.
Yeah, doing his running.
Pretty much. Pretty much. One I've left out, and I want to mention though, is you sat next to him in the dressing room when you first joined, David Cooper. Could you give us just a wee mention of what David was like as a man and
he was
helping you?
Well, he was the antipathy of Coisty. Coisty's all priced up from Wizard Hills and everything else. Coops was just in the background. He had his own little mentality. He had a dog back home, and he would split with his missus in the end. So he would literally finish training, not really do anything, just keep the ball to himself for 20 minutes at a five-a-side, then go home, get a shower, go home. He would put his bets on, and his bets really were. I saw his split one day, and he had a bet in, it must have been 7 races, and I bet you the whole amount of money he spent was like £10. There's a pound, a treble, and this, that, and the other. He just liked to watch it and see if he won. He wasn't thinking back. It was just in amongst that, and he was quality on the ball. It was that time where he was maybe not getting a game as much as he would have liked in the five-a-sides, and he was just tremendous.
Brilliant, and Ian Durrant as well. I mean, what was he like in the changing room?
He was just cheeky chap.
I've seen a copy of him and they asked him, they said, it was on one of the other podcasts, and they said, if you could have six people at your dinner table, past or present, who would you have? He says, the cheerleaders for over in America at such and such team. And I'm just like, a total different way of thinking there. But could I take you, I mean, it's something you've spoke about a lot, but discuss your 5th game for Rangers was the 5-1 game at Ibrox. You scored a header in that game, But was that the game Wilkins scored the volley as well?
I'd never been to a Hall of Fame game or anything. So the tunnel went out at 5-3. Because that was the days when, like last week, they had the whole of the stand. So the noise and the intensity was actually just drizzling with rain. And after a minute or two, I think it was Frank scored for them. and that all uppity Rangers right behind us, everything else suddenly stopped, and it was, "Hey, you, Drinkell, you bum, get over there." And then, as I say, 10 minutes later, we got an equaliser. I don't know if it was Coisty. And then Ray scored that goal to put us in front, and then suddenly the sun came out.
Yes, aye.
Ray scored that goal.
I can remember him running celebrating. Celebrating. It's brilliant, eh? And what did it feel like scoring the header? I mean, can you still take yourself back to...
What you want to do is, as a player, is establish yourself in the team and get the fans on side. And I relied on that. I was never ever the most skillful player, but I tried hard, I run hard, I worked, and I was trying to impress.
But that shows in the small time that you were at Rangers. We come on there, you were at small time at Falkirk as well. Because if you give it your all, that's what the fans ask more than anything. Eh? But no, you scored the park head as well. Eh?
Yeah, 2-1 game.
First time Rangers had won.
Another header.
1980 was that another header? That was for the corner, that one. Eh? I'm sure it was that.
I think it might have been a free kick.
It was a dead ball situation. Eh? That's right. I remember because you peeled away. I'm sure you peeled away and then headed it in.
That was at Parkhead, and it must have been the first game at Parkhead. So at them days, the jungle was still there. So I scored the goal, and I went.
Marco Negri done the same. Marco Negri was saying that, and he showed me. He says there's a clip, and you can actually see him. Sure, it's like John Robotham. He's like, it's like what you doing? But I didn't that to the reactions to run after you scored. But I mean, Rangers now. I mean, you're looking at Rangers now. I mean, they're in a lot better hands than they were a year or so ago, anyway. But financially, but I mean, really,
I think I mean, when we played, you had to. I mean, it was a little bit closer because Aberdeen had 4 or 5 international players. Hearts did. Dundee United had Hegarty and Sturrock and all these guys playing. So there were difficult teams to beat. But I think the whole standard around. The reason Hearts have been at the top this year is more to do with that Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah,
what they need to be.
Points,
that rather than they're doing.
There's no way 20, 30 points ahead of what they're doing last season.
Still signed an average centre forward. He looks a good player.
He does. But I mean, you got a wee message for Rangers fans just before we round up the Rangers movement.
I think they've got to stick together. I think what's nice is, although it's been a bad year, there's still a chance to do something. If they win all their games, beating Hearts, beating Celtic, then they're in with a shout.
Do you think Rangers will do it? Do you think Hearts will hold on, or Celtic?
I honestly don't know, because I don't think the Celtic team are a very good team at all. Keep winning the odd game.
They've got that mentality of winning, whereas Hearts and Rangers haven't really got that. I spoke about that when I was getting interviewed on a podcast, and that Hearts have went about this really quietly. Everything that's went on with Rangers, you've never heard the story. You didn't see many ex-Hearts players coming out, and they're just going under the radar. And it'd be great for Scottish football if they won it. I mean, obviously we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But you moved on to Coventry, a proper few this time, I'd say 800,000. You moved on to Coventry. How did that? Was that to do with the Mo Johnston coming in? And
that was to do again with you were still under contract even at them stages. So I signed a 2-year contract to come up.
Right.
So I'd had a super year.
Yeah.
In modern times now, I'm going to then go into my last year of my contract. In a modern game, perfect. I'm the man. Scored top scorer of the year before. I'm coming out of contract. What are you going to do? I'm looking at a 3-4 year contract and double my pay. And that's what would be expected in the game, in the modern game.
Definitely.
But in that, it was, no.
You're just left to your own devices.
You've got another 6 or 7 months to go. I'm quite happy. He sooner said to me, I don't want you to go. He said, but if somebody comes in with a right offer, then it'll be down to you to say whether you do want to go. So if I'd have just said no to the offers, I would have come out of contract at the end of the year with no guarantee. So if I'd have got injured in the February, March time, and out of contract, not getting paid. Nobody was picking my bills up.
No.
The following summer, I would have been sitting there
With
as an
nothing.
injured player trying to go on trial somewhere. So I was boxed in a little bit in the sense where he still soon as dictated which teams he would offers from. So Norwich came in with about 600 grand. I give him my money back. Give him his money back. He said no, wasn't enough. Why do that? Manchester City came in because there was the assistant manager at Norwich was now Mel Machin was the manager of Man City, and they had about 600 grand. He said, and then Aston Villa came in. I think it was Billy McNeil.
Yep.
And they offered about 650. And he went, no, I'm not going to even listen. We come back to Norwich, and I got back to my house in Stirling about must have been 2 a.m. So I'm laying in my bed. The phone side of the bed goes about 8:30 in the morning. Soonest. Right, he says, I've accepted it. Totally up to you. Do what you want to do. Who's it from? Get your agent to ring up. It's Coventry. So unbeknownst to me, he'd been offered this 900 grand. He wanted £1 million, and £880,000 plus the VAT is actually £1 million. Yeah. So that's how the fee got worked out. So he says, just woke up. I'm from Germany. What are you throwing at me? Over the next couple of days, I went to speak to him. They made me a really good offer, and the upside to it was they would give me a 3.5-year contract, which would take me till I'm 33, 34 or something, and then everything would be all right. But I didn't want to go. And then he just said this.
It's changed again.
What would have been nice in the modern game, he would have just, right, we're getting undo your 2-year contract. And we're going to extend it because he would have needed to do that. As the game changed then, in the old days, that first year I did, it was me and McCoy were really the only forwards, a couple of young kids, Johnny Spencer, and Gary McSwiggan. So Europe and the rest of it, Souness had played abroad, so he got to know that, and he was looking at that. You needed a bigger squad. In a modern game, you got 4 or 5 strikers, and you just rotate. In them days, nobody had heard of rotation.
You didn't even have your 5 subs, some games.
If you're playing well, you stayed in the team, and that was you. But at the start of that second year, when we signed Morris, was his ideal scenario. Because then, and he said that to me, at the start of the season off, I think they played Dundee and somebody else, and Coisty and Mo played. And then we had an away League Cup tie at Morton, Green and Morton. And he went,
cheers.
So but what he did, he said, on a Saturday, Parkhead, and we went there. I played up with Mo and drew 0-0, which would start the season, an away game at Parkhead. 0-0 was great. Following week, we got Aberdeen at home. I'm thinking, what's he going to do now? I stay in the team. And Mo scores, we win 1-0, and Mo scores his first goal. Next week, Dunfermline or somebody, I'm on the bench, them two are playing, 2 goals each. Next week, and he said to me, look, every time we play Celtic, Dundee United, Aberdeen, you're playing.
Yeah. You're like a big game
we're playing the other ones, these 2 little rats, they'll score the goals. Take it or leave it. And it was only because of lack of understanding about rotation and you'll play some games and that. And that the backdrop really of, if I didn't take that Coventry offer, I could be in that horrible position in the summer where I've got no money at all.
No, but I mean, you had your time at Coventry. Didn't hear 2 years, but you scored on your debut. But I've written poor season. Obviously, that was a poor season for Coventry, I believe. Did you struggle the first year you were with them?
Well, I ended up going into I'd looked at where they were, and I thought, top scorer at Grimsby, top scorer at Norwich, top scorer at Rangers. I'll go in there. They haven't had anybody score 15 goals for them for a long time, so I'll go in there and I'll do my usual, and I'll be all right. When I got in, it wasn't.
And does that massively affect you when you're playing? Because this is the side that
Well,
we
he did.
defeat,
The trouble is, a couple of years earlier, they won the FA Cup. The team, a big Silver Regis, and that played up. Brozovic in the goals, Trevor Pete was a captain, and the city, the supporters, the club, the manager, the secretary just wanted that team to play every week. They didn't ever want it to change.
No.
So when I come in to take Cyril's place, an instant. You felt it.
But you went to Birmingham on loan for a wee bit.
I did. I enjoyed that. I did really well.
And that was how long were you there?
I was just, I think, about 6 weeks in the end. I went there. I was injured, and Butcher had Terry had taken over. And he put me out there. He rung me up and said, "You're going to Birmingham on loan." I said, "I'm not fit." He said, "Well, I'm going on loan."
You'll get your fit.
So I ended up playing 6 weeks. The really nice thing for me there is they always get in touch with me. I played in a derby game over at West Brom for them, and they hadn't beaten West Brom. It's a big derby. And there was 30,000 full house in that West Brom ground, and that won 1-0, and I scored the header. And so, like, the Birmingham people, and I always include me in there.
It's great though, just to see that you're not forgotten there, because you got a lot of that. I speak to football players, and they've had the same time of career as yourselves, and they're all in media and different things. You never ever fancied that? You've never been there, or?
I did a bit of the coaching side.
I come on to that. But never been Sky Sports or Talk Sport, or anything, never fancied that. But I mean, how did the move to Falkirk then come about then? Back down to Coventry, and then you came back up to Falkirk. How did this all?
Well, I've moved the wife and 2 daughters about so often that when I was coming towards the end, I was going to get away from Coventry. I was getting older, so the opportunities weren't there. There was one I could have gone to Swansea, which meant somewhere totally new for the wife and the girls again. I could have gone, I think it was Southampton,
again, that's right
down the league, or Groningen, which is a team in Belgium. And out of the blue, Jim rung me up, Jim Jeffries, and said about, and they were playing in the Premiership, in the top league, and it would afford me to get back to Stirling with the wife. So of all the places to go, the wife said, "I'm not going abroad, I'm not going to Swansea, so if you're doing anything, we better go up there." She would have liked to have stayed where she was in the Midlands without moving again. So that's how I came on.
But I mean, you were in amongst it again at Falkirk. I mean, I've got John Hughes, David Weir, Richard Cadet, Ian McCauley. I mean, it's only do you still keep in touch with
me? Crunchy. Still about all of them.
That was brilliant. But you won the first division.
I went to the Falkirk game. It was Saturday. It was St Mirren. Aye.
Falkirk are flying now. I was talking with some of the audience and that, and for the last 3 years when John McGunn's came in, I mean, turned them round there. But your time there, you won the first division and the Challenge Cup as well. I mean, about
33, 34.
And you were just playing, you were really enjoying your football there. And you get to a stage where you realise, like, probably got maybe 3 years left at this point.
Well, at that time, I was getting towards it, because that's when I first started to have a problem with my head.
Did you get a lot of injuries when you were playing?
Touchwood, no. But at the end of my career,
you feel it. Aye. Dave Robertson was saying the same. He says, "There's not a day that I got up in the winter," he says, "my knees are sore." He says, "It's just not your joints." But again, you were playing at a time where you never had sports science there, massages and anything like that. But so your time at Falkirk, 55 games I've got, 13 goals. Is that maybe be league games? Is that right? Yeah. And then you joined Stirling Albion. Was that to start your coaching, or did you start your coaching?
It was an opportunity to do it. Well, no. When I first went, we were getting towards the back end of the season, and I wasn't gonna play much. In fact, I wasn't really playing much up front, and he'd used me as a battering ram in the midfield now and again. So I wasn't always guaranteed. And if at that age, if you've got 40 games left in you, if you leave it a year, you've only got 10 games.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was an opportunity just to go out the local team and stay in Stirling. Went to try and help them stay at the level they were at.
And you done Montrose as well. We started at Montrose as well. What was that, a short spell? Or?
That was when I did the Stirling. We were successful. I ended up going as a player, taking over in the summer as a player play anymore because my hip was gone. And then we had some success, so we won that. We got promotion, then we won the second division, the third division as it is now.
It's changed, yeah. Well, here's probably the most difficult question that everybody struggles with, but put yourself in a team, a 4-4-2 formation, you're up front as one of the strikers, we need 10 other players. Who was the best goal you played alongside right back? I know, it gets you thinking, eh?
It is, because it's a long career, and it's like people won't understand when I say about a player that they've never heard of. So in the goals, I would say at the top end, the big.
Yeah, of course. Just brilliant. Aye.
Right back,
Right.
At Rangers, Richard Gough, captain of Scotland,
Yeah.
Terry Butcher, captain of England, or at Norwich, Stevie Bruce,
Another,
Dave Watson.
Yeah, you know, Steve Bruce never got a cap for England. Mental, and I think at the end of his career, they tried to give him a wee sentimental cap, and he's like, "No, I didn't bother." But so you're into your midfield, and what's the best? Bray Wilkins in there.
Well, again, I played as a boy, Tony Ford, again, boyhood friend, coloured boy. One of the first coloured guys to play. It took a lot of stick when we were younger. But a great player on the right wing. That's why I'm so good in the air, because this
crossing was brilliant.
That ball was on the left.
Yeah.
Coops was about, but I didn't play often enough with him. In the midfield, I played with Nicky Phelan, was a great midfielder. Ray Wilkins would be in it.
Yeah. It's when you're sitting here, it's not until we're sitting talking, you went through your whole career. You must be so proud when you look back and think, you know, I was at Rangers for a year, and you're still so well on. But as well as that, you've also got times at Norwich, Grimsby. When you've went through your career, every club's kind of been.
And up front, obviously, you'd say Christie because of his goals. But as a player to play with, in my days, you had two strikers who played off each other. There was a boy, Trevor Wymark, who played for Ipswich and England, 2 or 3 caps for England. He came at the end of my time at Grimsby, and I learned more off Trevor in a year than.
Brilliant. And who would you pick as a manager of that team, apart from yourself, obviously?
Mental again, and a guy that picked me when I was 16. If he hadn't come, then I wouldn't have been a career.
So different, eh?
And then the mix of matches. Soonest is just the arrogance of him, the ability that he had, and just he got the best out of you because he demanded that. Always, one thing about Soonest, and I always remember it, was he was level with everybody. Nobody was up there or down there. We played St Johnstone in the first semi-final. We drew at Parkhead, and lucky to get a draw. We were awful.
Yeah, it was a bad game.
Frank was back in. The replay was on the Tuesday night. Frank was in on the Sunday. The old Albion was still going then. Big boggy bit of grass. So we were all doing one of these circles where you got 2 in the middle and you're keeping the ball and you're making them run around and all that stuff. So we're having a bit of a giggle and a laugh and whatever. All of a sudden, the big metal door, 20 feet high, this metal door, and he comes in and he walks in, opens a circle, stands there, he says, "Same team, Tuesday night. If you don't, I'll just get another team."
And that was it.
And I mean, he points at Wilkins and he points at me. I mean, a whole new team. Broke the circle up, walked out the door.
His charisma, yeah, it's brilliant, eh? There you go, absolutely. Well, listen, Kev, thanks very much. Thoroughly appreciate you coming on. I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed recording it. And thanks also to the British Legion for hosting us.